We have some more breaking news late on a Thursday as the Philadelphia 76ers have made yet another addition in NBA free agency, and I'm not sure what Daryl Morey is thinking here. According to Adrian Wojnarowski, the Sixers are re-signing Montrezl Harrell to a one-year contract. We're going to break this down, and I want to hear from you down in the comments section what you think of this, because I did not see Harrell returning once he opted out of that player option. But first, this is why you subscribe to this show. This is our third video on the channel today. It's 10:30 Central, so almost midnight on the East Coast. We're still grinding, and even when the Sixers make a move like this, not a large splash at all, we're going to talk about it here on the show, your one-stop shop for year-round 76ers coverage. I'm Chase Sr. This is Philadelphia 76ers Now. So Woj with the tweet just moments ago, free agent forward Montrezl Harrell has agreed to a one-year deal to return to the Philadelphia 76ers, sources tell ESPN. And I'm not sure what the thought process is for Daryl Morey here. This is clearly a move to bulk up your depth, but I think it became pretty clear last year that Montrezl Harrell is pretty washed. He's at the tail end of his NBA career, an NBA career that has been successful. He's been a very good reserve throughout his career, but at this point, I just don't see what he's going to bring to the floor for Philadelphia, giving this team any meaningful minutes. This better be for little to no money at all, and I imagine it's going to be. And maybe the thought process here when Harrell opted out of that player option was, look, Montrez, we don't really want to bring you back because it can hamstring us with the money that you made last year. Opt out, see what you can get. We'd be interested in bringing you back as a veteran who can give us an energetic body throughout some of these practices. And if we can sign you for the vet min, then we might be interested in that. And Montrezl Harrell probably surveyed the market and saw that he didn't really have much of a market, and that's why he's returning to Philadelphia here. At the most, I'm thinking that he can be a veteran who can help out in practice. He gives you some size, experience, as well as a lot of energy. That's something that he's always brought to the table throughout his career. Since getting drafted in the second round out of Louisville, he did play 57 games last year, 7 starts when Joel Embiid was out. He had a couple of fun moments, especially when the game was decided in some of these blowouts in which he was running the floor, throwing down some dunks, put back dunks, getting the crowd fired up. Like, he's certainly good for that. And last year in his lone season in Philly, 5.5 points per game, almost 3 rebounds, a half block, 60% from the field. Let's give him some credit, right? This is a guy who won the Six-Man Award as early as 2020. And as a second-round pick, he's been able to make some money. He's been able to put together a pretty solid and long NBA career. I was actually pretty surprised that he's only 29 years old. He seems, looks, and plays a lot older than that, but he is an active rebounder who can run the floor pretty well. He'll give you some putback slams. You can throw him some lobs. He'll throw down some dunks. The problem here, can't shoot, won't shoot, not even from the elbow or the baseline. He's really only good within 10 feet, and he's not a good defender. And especially in today's NBA, he's kind of a liability on that end of the floor because there are either guys who are a little bit longer and more athletic, or players who can stretch it out to the three-point arc, which he struggles to get out to that area. He's also a liability at the free throw line, so you don't really want him to be in some of these close games late in the game because he's about a 60% free throw shooter. That's what he was last year. It is a shame that this signing, and really last year's signing of Montrezl Harrell, didn't happen like 5 years ago when he was actually pretty solid. Career averages, 12 points per game, 5 rebounds. Phased out of the game a little bit just stylistically with how the NBA game is played nowadays, and had a pretty good college career for some really fun Louisville teams. Second round pick, 32nd overall out of Louisville, and he played for Rick Pitino with the Cardinals and was actually a part of that 2013 team with Peyton Siva that originally won a national championship, but then that championship was then later vacated because of some of the dumb college rules that we've seen strip wins, when in reality, when you break those rules, it has nothing to do with what's actually happening on the field, or in this case, on the court. And you look kind of year by year at his numbers. Like, he gets drafted in 2015, 3.5 points per game. Following season, goes up to 9, then 11, then 16.5, then 18.5. 2019-20 with the Los Angeles Clippers when he's 26 years old. He did play well under Doc Rivers. I think Doc Rivers had a voice in bringing him back last year. The progressive improvements that he was able to make, like, credit to him for that. And then in 2020, 2021, minutes go down, 13.5 points per game, then 13, 14 in 2021, 2022 with the Washington Wizards. With Charlotte 2 seasons ago, 11 points per game, and then last year with Philadelphia, 5.5 points per game. If he went to a bad team, he'd probably get more run. I'm just not sure where he's going to play and how he's going to play on the Sixers team here. And you look at what the 76ers have done so far in NBA free agency. This is their tracker up to this point. Patrick Beverley was the first signing, so immediately you get some toughness there and some veteran leadership, a guy who's never going to show any fear. Backyard brawl, he's all into it. A back alley brawl, he's joining in. He is an absolute pit bull who can still guard 94 feet. And while his three-point numbers have struggled and dipped the last couple of years, if he can be at least average from distance or a little bit better than he's been the last 2 years, like, you can get some really good value there. Sixers last night signed Mo Bamba. We talked about it here on the show. 7'10 wingspan, really, really good athlete. Former number 6 overall pick out of Texas, has been a bust up to this point, but he can shoot the three around 39-40% in recent seasons. So that is a big who can back up Joel Embiid, is athletic, can block some shots, and stretch the floor a little bit. And then Montrezl Harrell, the most recent signing. We've talked about, and I put out a video a couple of hours ago, some realistic and affordable free agent targets, as well as some realistic and affordable trade targets as well. You can go back and watch that video. I did not see this signing of Montrezl Harrell being one of those affordable signings because I just don't know how much he can play and if he can be an impact player at this point of his NBA career. So hopefully, as Brian Windhorst said a little bit earlier, Daryl Morey, and we talked about this too in our first show today, hopefully Daryl Morey does have something up his sleeve. Because right now, the Sixers appear to be running it back, and this is a Sixers team that has not made it past the second round since 2001. And if they do run it back with this same core, I do think that they have some holes. They have some gaps on this roster, and I have concerns. Joel Embiid has had some playoff struggles on top of the injury struggles. He struggled to take accountability for some of his failures. Can Nick Nurse change that a little bit? Doc Rivers helped him become a better player and tap into some of that greatness because Embiid got better and better and better in his 3 seasons under Doc Rivers. He was runner-up for MVP the first 2 and then won the MVP that final year. James Harden, of course, has those playoff no-shows as well. Can Tyrese Maxey take another leap? I think a lot of the Sixers' success is going to be predicated on that, but I think that Harden is going to have to make a little bit of an offensive sacrifice if he does come back to pave open opportunities for Tyrese Maxey. And then if the Sixers do bring back Tobias Harris, averaged 14 points per game last year, and he's soon to make, I think, like $39 million this upcoming season. That really hamstrings you with trying to build up a roster, and that's the situation that the Sixers are in. You know, you're watching the NBA Summer League right now. Sixers got the doors blown off by the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they, every single year, I know they haven't had a lot of success, right, in recent seasons, especially after KD, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and Paul George all left over the years. But, like, they're able to just churn out all of these developmental pieces, and they draft really well and develop really well. And the Sixers, on the other hand, Tyrese Maxey is their best developmental story, and outside of that, it's been a long time since they've developed a really solid player, and they've missed in the draft. Like, can you imagine if the Sixers had Mikal Bridges right now? Instead, they traded him on draft night for Zaire Smith in a move that will never make sense to me. Mikal Bridges was a perfect fit at the time, 3-and-D wing, who now can do a lot more than just being a 3-and-D wing. He can get a shot from anywhere, is a very, very good defender, probably an elite defender, all NBA, and you traded Zaire Smith, or you traded away Mikal Bridges for Zaire Smith, who played less than, 50 games, I think, for the Sixers in his career. So you've had some misses here. That's part of the reason why the Sixers are in this position. They don't have a lot of draft capital to give up in a trade, and right now they're paying big-time money to James Harden if he comes back, Joel Embiid, and Tobias Harris, and you're going to have to pay Tyrese Maxey next year if you don't get that done this year, with that deadline to give him that extension coming up in October. So, man, what a weird offseason so far for Philadelphia, and it's been just so average and so boring and lukewarm up to this point. Can Nick Nurse be the guy that puts this Sixers team over the top, and is a coaching change enough to propel the Sixers to win 2 playoff series for the first time since 2001? Win or lose, we're going to talk about all the Sixers moves here and talk about this basketball team year-round. That's why you subscribe to the show. Appreciate all of you for being here with us late on a Thursday night, or if you're waking up with us early on a Friday.